probably know, Disneyland has had some very successful rides that will probably never close. These include ones like Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, and other great favorites. But as you probably also know, not all rides have been that successful. So today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 closed rides at Disneyland. I hope you all enjoy. 1. Number 1 on this list is the People Mover. Quite an infamous ride, and it's not the most popular out of all the rides in Disney, and probably not one of the most known, but I had to put this on the list for some basic reason. So basically, the People Mover was a slow-moving, kind of on a train track car ride. It wasn't very exciting, but it was actually pretty popular for its time. It wasn't open for a whole long. I think it opened in 1967 and closed in around the late 1990s, which actually come to think of it, that is a fairly long time. And so the reason for this closing was, for one thing, it wanted to make room for a faster rocket ride coaster. It was quite a popular ride, but it didn't do too well for after the first 3 or 4 years that it opened. And after that closed, the tracks basically stayed open. As you can probably tell if you ever go to Disneyland, that there are some tracks that have nothing going on them, that are going over, Tomorrowland, just looking totally out of this place. It's kind of odd for some people at first, but once you figure out that really it has no place there and it should kind of be knocked down if they're not going to put any cooler ride in there, but it's honestly okay because it kind of shows the old ride in some weird way. But basically, one of the reasons for this closing was it actually was the cause of quite a few injuries, sadly. Now you're probably like, what? How could a slow-moving ride that literally does hardly anything be dangerous? How could people have gotten injured on this? Well, it's mostly people's fault. People were trying to jump from one cart to the cart behind them or in front of them. And this is quite dangerous, actually, and most of them ended up falling off. It was quite an unusual dare, and I really say it is not a good idea. But the reason for it being so slow was kind of a bad idea because this gave people opportunity to try and jump from one cart to the other. It is kind of sad that this old ride closed down, but I am pretty happy that nobody else got any more injuries. Number 2. Next up on this list is Adventure Through Inner Space. This is looks like quite a fun ride, although I believe that Star Tours replaced this pretty cool ride. So basically you would go on these blue car things and you would go down supposedly to the size of a snowflake, and then you would go through inner space. It sounds like quite fun, and you can also see the People Mover moving behind it. I believe that is the People Mover. I really don't know, but this did seem like quite a cool ride because it would make you seem like you were quite smaller and going through a track and then traveling through inner space as a small particle. This sounds quite fun, and I think space is pretty awesome, so I do kind of wish this was not closed, but it did make way for Star Tours, so, things have to come and go. And as you can see, they make it look like you're absolutely tiny, and it's so awesome. I mean, I'd love if this was open in a different part of Disneyland, or if it was just open for a couple more years, because I never got a chance to go on it, even though it looks really, really cool. Although I do have to say, Star Tours is a pretty cool ride, so I am kind of glad this is gone, but kind of not glad because it did look pretty awesome, don't you think, guys? 3. Next up on this list is the Flying Saucers. These opened in 1961 and closed in 1966 actually, so the year Walt Disney sadly died. These looked actually pretty fun, but they did take a lot of work to go through. So basically, air would be blown up from this blue map that they showed here, and you'd have to move from side to side to move the, wow, that's a weird Mickey Mouse. They had an odd Mickey Mouse back then. But anyway, you would have to move back and forth to get the saucer to move to different directions. But the thing is, it was quite hard for little kids to make this ride work. It was quite popular for the few years that it was open. So sadly, this had to be closed, but some people actually asked why this little ride had to be closed down. They were sad about it because people actually did like throwing beach balls around and having fun. So they decided to reopen it as a different ride, which is, I'm not sure if it's open anymore. I'm pretty sure it's closed, but it was as a big tire mover thing. It was just like this, only it would be 4 people in it so that more people could move. But it just didn't work out, and people really didn't enjoy it as much as they did these flying saucers, so I believe they did close it and replaced it with some other type of ride that was pretty similar but actually ended up working a little bit better. Number 4. Next up on this list is Country Bear Jamboree. I'm not exactly sure much about this ride, but I'm pretty sure it was a show where they would show like dancing and singing bears, animatronics, which was a big deal back then. It opened in 1986 in actually Disney World, and it was so popular that they opened it in Disneyland. But sadly, it closed in 2001. People were devastated. But it was reopened as a different ride, which is now Winnie the Pooh, which is quite an amazing ride, and I do recommend going on it. It is very cute. But I do have to say I would have liked to know what this ride was. I believe it was a show, and it did seem very cute, but I do have to say I am glad it was replaced by Winnie the Pooh. Number 5. Guys, I think I accidentally said top 10 rides at the beginning of this video, but actually this is a top 5 ride. I will be doing a top 10 one pretty soon, but it will be for Disney World. Sorry, I accidentally said top 10. For me, guys, the top ride that should have not closed down, the top 5th one, is the Carousel of Progress. This is still at Disney World, and the video I'm showing you now is at Disney World, but I honestly felt like it should not have closed at Disneyland. So this ride opened in 1967, although Walt Disney did design it, and he said it was one of his personal favorites. It closed in 1973, sadly, and I feel it should have opened because Walt Disney loved this. It was even at a fair he did. I forgot what it was, but he really loved this ride, and it took a lot of work, and I feel like it should not have been closed down, no matter how much it might have been replaced by, or I don't even know, but it seems definitely it should not have closed down. So basically, you would sit in the theater, and it would go through different progressions, I think, over the years, and different rooms and pictures and animatronics, and for me that just seems really cool, and I really wish they had not removed this. It really, I don't know, I felt like because Walt Disney loved that ride so much because of his love for it. You're probably wondering why I put this at the top, but really it's for Walt Disney's sake, because I feel like he would have liked it to be kept at Disneyland, and he never ever got to see the finished project as soon as it was let out to Disney, because he died in 1966 and this wasn't released to Disneyland until 1967. As you can see, it has some really cool little progressions and movements and animatronics, and it looks like it put a lot of work into it, and even the adorable dog is just like the cutest thing ever. And really, this is just a nice ride that really should not have been closed. Well guys, tell me what you thought about this list. I honestly think it's pretty accurate, and I do wish they would bring back some of the rides on this list, but anyway, it seems like this is about going to have to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and please tell me in the comments below if you would like me to do a Disney World version of this. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe in my next video, Disney fans. Bye, guys!